Nothing like little Lizzie McGuire to kick off your Monday. Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome to Ignite.
It's Monday.
Awesome session today. One of my personal favorites. It is all about sparking your career, mindset, motivation, and everything that comes with that. For no matter where you're at in your career, in Keller Williams, we teach the one of the personal perspectives of moving from E to P, which is from entrepreneurial to purposeful, right? And there are 5 elements that are really important in moving from being entrepreneurial to being purposeful. And that is focus, strategic options, the right models, strong systems, and accountability. What I love about mindset is that it's going to show up everywhere, but it really shows up on either side of those 5 items. 1, in focus, and 2, in accountability. So the conversation around, hey, what is it that you want? Why is it that you're doing this? We're going to focus on that. And then we're going to be accountable to the level of success and the life that we deserve, and accountable to achieving those results. So today we're going to hear from a very talented person with a very big why, and someone whose career continues to evolve. He recently was named the team leader of our Keller Williams Greater Metropolitan office. He has been in real estate since, we're going to say 2015 feels like the right number, and nailed it. And he started his career in Asheville, North Carolina, and then came home to Northeast Ohio, as everybody always does, brought a real estate business with him. And in that process, also found and fell in love with the MAPS coaching program known as BOLD. Eddie is now a certified BOLD coach as a part of MAPS. And I think that there are, let's say, less than 50 of those in the United States. All right, that is also accurate. I'm on fire this morning. So Eddie is, and many of you know Eddie, so you're like, why is Mike still talking and giving us this introduction? But it is really important to understand that this is a subject matter that Eddie may very well be custom built to deliver. So thank you for being here this morning, and thank you, Eddie, for taking us through this.
Absolutely. And can everybody hear me? Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Yes. All right. All right. And can you see my screen? Does it say Spark Your Career?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. Just making sure. Mike was sharing his screen, so I never know how these will work sometimes when you get on these Zoom calls. All right. Wonderful. So you were here for Spark Your Career, and that's exactly what we want you to do in Ignite. We want you to spark your career and set it on fire. And my contact information is right on your screen. So if you need a moment or don't have it, please write that down. I welcome feedback, and I welcome you to ask questions. So we're going to get going here. So if you've written it down, great. And if not, we can go ahead and throw it in the chat later for anybody who needs it. All right. So as always in Keller Williams, we start with our MVVBP, which is our mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives. And so when we start with our belief system, that's who we are. And when we talk about sparking your career, culture is the foundation of everything we do at Keller Williams. So let's go ahead and go through these. So who wants to read the first one? What's the W?
Win-win.
Or no deal, right?
Or no deal.
And I?
Integrity, do the right thing.
Right? C, the first C.
Customers always come first.
Right, and that's why they're first. And the second C.
Anyone else? Just me. Commitment in all things.
All right, and let's get some participation. Who else wants to read the third C?
Communication. Seek first to understand.
And the fourth C?
Creativity, ideas before results.
All right, and then the first T?
Teamwork. Together, everyone achieves more.
Second T.
Trust starts with honesty.
And then the E.
Equity.
Opportunities for all. That's right. And the S.
Success results through people.
And that's it. Our Y4C2Ts are the foundation of our business. And it's the reason that we are so successful as a business, because it's how we treat the people on the other side, it's how we treat our clients, and it's how we treat each other. And so that is the foundation for being able to go out and build that great career, is starting with our beliefs. And that's why we always start there, because it's the mindset that we take into our transactions and our daily lives that make a difference in who we become. Because again, Keller Williams is not about what you get, it's about who you become. So let's talk about our mission: to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. What does that mean to you? What do you hear when you hear that mission statement?
It's
Being
big.
happy in your careers worth having to me means something that you don't dread going to do every day. Doing something that you love, a business worth owning, something that's meaningful, just a part of your everyday life. It's hard to have a business and be happy at the same time, or have just a regular job and be happy, but you're creating a life with career and personal experiences.
Right. And when we talk about, in Bold, we talk about it a lot. We say Bold, the purpose of business is to fund a perfect life. Your business's objective is to create a life by design. And that's what this mission statement is saying, is exactly that we're building our lives worth living to give experiences to others. And so my clicker didn't work. There we go. So Gary Keller has a famous statement and says, anyone can do it. Not everyone will you? Because we know success is simple, not easy. So anyone can do it. Not everyone will you? And it starts with this, your 6 personal perspectives. So who can read these off to me?
Commitment to self-mastery, commitment to the 80-20 principle, move from E to P, make being learning based the foundation of your action plan, remove your limiting benefits, be accountable.
Yeah, removing your limiting beliefs and being accountable. And so when Gary Keller found these by actually interviewing top achievers, and when he looked at top achievers and people who were at the top of their game doing the best that could be done, he found that these were the things that connected them. These were the things that they all had in common. And so when we talk about the 6 personal perspectives, we start with commit to self-mastery, and there's a reason why. Because it's the mindset of knowing your goals, knowing your strengths and weaknesses, and knowing how to work with both your strengths and weaknesses to seek and master the necessary knowledge, skills, and habits to reach your goals. Because we all have weaknesses. I know I do. And I work around those weaknesses by finding leverage and other ways in order to maximize my strength and limit those weaknesses. It's using the systems and models and figuring out a way to master yourself and master your thinking. Because what 2 things can we control?
Our attitude and our mindset.
Right. Your mindset and your actions. That's exactly right. Those are the 2 things that you can control. You can't control anything else. So we focus on those things when we commit to self-mastery. So the second one is committing to the 80-20 principle. Now, we've all heard, the Pareto's principle, 80-20 principle, 20% of your actions lead to 80% of your results. And, that plays out in our lives in every day. Think about it. At your home, you probably sit on 20% of the furniture that you have. You probably wear 20% of the outfits in your closet. You know, we eat 20% of the food that's available to us. It's plays out in our daily lives. So when you think of the 20%, we like to call them your big rocks. So what big rocks do you have in real estate? What is your 20%? Can anybody tell me what their 20% is in real estate? What's going to get you the most results?
Phone calls.
And what do we call that?
Prospecting.
Lead generation.
Yeah, lead generation. Exactly. Prospecting, lead generation. That's your 20%. That's the thing that's going to get you your results in this business. So we have the third is move from E to P. So your third personal perspective. So we've got committing to self-mastery, committing to the 20% that's going to get you the 80% of the results. And then why has moved it from E to P next? And that's entrepreneurial to purposeful. Michael touched on it. And as you see in your diagram, there's a natural ceiling of achievement. You know, if, when I was young, I got really good at doing cartwheels. I could probably still do a cartwheel. I don't know, I might break myself, but who knows? I got really good at doing cartwheels when I was a kid. Now, does that mean I could go off and join Cirque du Soleil? Would I be able to just go off and, be able to do backflips and everything else because I got really good at cartwheels? What would I need? What would I need to be able to go to that next level?
Committed to doing a cartwheel.
Well,
And
so
Practice and training.
yeah, practice and training. Exactly. And I would need a coach because what happens is, if I kept going, I'd hit what's called a natural ceiling of achievement. I'm good enough to be able to do that cartwheel. Could I do some Simone Biles round off flip thing? No, I couldn't. And at the same time, if I trained, if I got a coach, if I practiced it every day, I could get to that level. And so what you have is being purposeful is doing what comes unnaturally. And that means getting into systems, models, coaching, something that's going to break you through that ceiling to get you through to where that ceiling becomes your floor. And I know we're moving through the 6 personal perspectives a little quickly because I want to get to the meat of the material. I think you've gone over these a little bit with the other coaches on Ignite. So next, after that, it's being learning based the foundation of your action plan. So we've got a coach, we've committed to self-mastery, we've committed to knocking out the big rocks. Now we've got a coach or we've got training and practice where we're practicing our dialogues, we're getting the language of real estate down. So now it's being learning based the foundation of your action plan. This is the next step. And why do you think that's the next step?
Don't want to waste a lot of time just tripping over yourself. You gotta get better.
Well, knowledge to help your clients. And aren't we the center of real estate information? So we have to educate ourselves so that we know what's going on. You just taught me learn the market. Learn the area.
Absolutely. And that's the perfect answers, knowing the right answers, getting ourselves together because we want to be the local economist, right, of choice for our agents. We want to be the real estate expert that they come to. So when you make learning based the foundation of your action plan, you're saying that I'm going to build my knowledge because knowing for knowing's sake gets you nowhere. It's learning in order to be able to implement that learning, and it's knowing for doing's sake. And that's what's going to get you the productivity. That's what's going to get you past that. Because we've all gone to the conferences, we've all gone to the trainings, took lots and lots of notes, and then put it on our really smart bookshelf. Because we've got a really smart bookshelf over there. It's got all the notes, it's got all the trainings, but we don't go to it. We don't implement. And if you are, great, you're doing it. So implementation is the key. That's what knowing is for. It's knowing for doing's sake, knowing for putting it into action and building your business.
Tony Robbins says knowledge is potential power, action is power. And that's what you're saying.
Absolutely. That's great. Will you put that in the chat for everyone?
Yes.
Thank you. That was great. And so here's a quote from Albert Einstein when we talk about learning. I am neither especially clever nor especially gifted. I am only very curious. And we talk about that a lot when we talk about our training. It's come from curiosity. When you're talking to your clients, you want to be learning based with them. It's not just about going to a book. It's about learning what their wants, their needs are. Because our job is to facilitate them towards their goal, is to help them get there. So be curious, come from curiosity, ask questions. And that's where that comes from. That's what knowing for doing's sake is. Thank you for putting that in the chat. And number 5 is remove your limiting beliefs. How many of us have those limiting beliefs in our head that we talk to ourselves and say, oh, I can't get that $1 million listing, or, you know, I don't want to call my sphere because I'm just bothering them. How many of us have that? Show of hands, who has some limiting beliefs that they deal with on a day-to-day basis? I know I do. So when we talk about limiting beliefs, it's you're telling yourself a story, right? That's it. It's not, whatever you're telling yourself isn't real. It hasn't happened. So tell yourself a different story, because that's the reality of it. It's that you can tell yourself whatever story you want to. So if you tell yourself, oh, they don't want to hear from me, and this person actually needs real estate help and you're not calling them, have you done them a disservice? Because they might get an agent that doesn't know how to do the deal, or doesn't have their best interest at heart. But these are people you know, like, and trust, right? They're your Mets. They're your people in your database. They're your sphere. So reach out to them. And when you do, offer value. You know, if you're coming from, I want your money, then yeah, they probably don't want to hear from you. And at the same time, if you're offering value, if you're coming from curiosity about who they are and what's going on with them, I bet they'd love to hear from you. So you're telling yourself a story. Tell yourself a different story. Tell them, you know, hey, I want to make sure that they're doing okay, and that they know that I'm here if they need anything. And that's it. Tell yourself a different story. And then last is be accountable. So there are, you know, different ways of accountability. You know, there's life happens and reality shows up. And so the person who is unaccountable, they're not seeking reality. You know, they're asking no questions. They're fighting reality, actually. They're denying it. They're blaming other people. They make excuses. You know, like the bold law says, you can have reasons or results. You can't have both. And then they wait and hope for things to happen for them. So the difference is if you blame someone else for something that happened in your life, you are giving your power away. You're saying, I can't control my life, that it's that person that controls my life for me, and I'm going to blame them for what's happening to me. So being accountable is being 100% accountable for everything that happens to you. Because of your habits, your actions, that's what your results, you know, get you. So seek reality, you know, and when you seek reality, acknowledge it. Ask for clarity. Look at it for what it is, and then own it. And then once you own it, you can start finding solutions to how to get past it. So you focus on the plan, not the problem. And then you get on with the plan. And that's how you stay accountable, and that's how you keep moving forward. So that's your 6 personal perspectives. And doesn't it make sense why they're in that order? You know, you go through and they're in that order for a reason, because it's how you commit, how you actually achieve mastery are through those steps. First, you commit to it, and then you take the steps to actually get to it. And that's what the 6 personal perspectives give you. So that's a great starting point for the mindset on how to get your career going. So happiness is not an individual sport. What do you think that quote means? Happiness is not an individual sport.
we contribute to others' happiness and others contribute to our own happiness. It doesn't happen. It doesn't always happen on an island.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and just like, you know, the last S in our belief system, you know, results through others. It's no one succeeds alone. And just think about it this way. If you did succeed alone, if you were all by yourself and you had this great accomplishment, would you actually be happy? Because who would you share it with? When you're happiest, aren't you looking to share it with the people you love the most? You know, you want to share that happiness, and that's human nature. And so it's not an individual sport. It's hard to be happy all alone. Some people have that. I have it in spurts because I like my alone time. And at the same time, I wouldn't be happy if I didn't have the people I love around me. So happiness is not an individual sport. So I want you to take a minute, and does everybody have a sheet of paper with them? Something they can write on? Okay, so I want you to draw 3 circles, like a Venn diagram. So 2 circles next to each other, and then 1 at the bottom. So if you know what a Venn diagram looks like, I can draw one real quick. Don't judge my art skills. So 3 circles like that. All right. And in the first circle on the left, I want you to think of, and we're going to start this. There's no judgment here. No judgment. We're going to we're going to call that one your business. And so in that circle, I want you to write from 1 to 10 where you believe you are in your business. So 10 being you've accomplished everything you've wanted to accomplish in business. You're flying high. You've done everything you want. And remember, this isn't comparing yourself to anyone else. I'm not saying compare yourself to Gary Keller and say, well, I haven't reached billionaire status, so my business isn't. It's where you want to be. This is for your goals. So 10, you know, you've achieved what you want. 1 being you don't even know what a business is. Okay, so put it somewhere 1 to 10. All right. Now, in the right-hand circle, I want you to think about your life. And I want you to think about how you showed up today, how you show up on a daily basis, like 1 to 10, like 1 being, you know, why I don't even want to get out of bed in the morning. I just want to stay there and curl up and, you know, let the rain fall outside. And 10 being, I'm so excited to be here. It's going to be a great day. You know, I'm living life the way I want to. So 1 to 10, put your number inside the circle. All right. And again, there's no judgment here. Now I want you to multiply those 2 numbers. And I know this is math, and real estate agents get a little, you know, weird on math. So multiply those 2 numbers and then put them in the bottom circle. All right. So as real estate agents, we can all still agree that 10 times 10 is 100, right? Okay. Now, does anybody have 100 in that bottom circle? Anybody? Put it in the chat, show of hands. Anybody with 100? Anyone? Exactly. There's no one here who's perfect. Nobody's got 100. And I want you to look at those numbers, and I want you to think about, like, if your life and business were at 100%, how does that number in that bottom, that bottom number is you. How does that number make you feel?
Sad.
You know, and there's reality in that. Yeah. And just like we said, you know, being accountable is seeking reality. And this is about learning where we are right now. Because just like in a GPS, we have to know where you are right now in order to get you where you want to go. So we can agree, if you're sad by that number, that that's probably not where you want to be, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that's what today is about. It's about figuring out how to get from where you are to where you want to be. Because right now we just got a pinpoint. We just dropped a pin right where you are. And that's the reality. So now we want to get to our goal. So let's talk about our future. Today is 1 year from now. Your business is thriving and your life is everything you've dreamed of. Your customers rave about the experience and value you provide and think of you when they have a real estate need. Your family and friends are so proud of your success and are consistently referring business your way. You're helping others live their dream of owning a home because you are focused on helping them get what they desire. You are building the foundation and momentum for your entire career and gaining relationships and experiences and the income you desire. You're the top agent in your market center or rookie of the year if you're new. You're poised to hire a part-time assistant to handle your 80% while you take care of the 20% that grows your business. You are on the path to, and then you fill in the rest. So I want you to write that down. What are you on the path to? I'm going to give you a minute to do this. This is 1 year from now. You've achieved the success you've wanted. You've hit your goals. What are you on the path to? What do you do with that success? Where do you go? Who do you tell? Who do you share it with? What experiences are you giving? What legacies are you leaving? Take a minute to really think about that and write down where you want to be. So when we talk about your big life, you see a diagram on the screen, and I want you to kind of think about those areas. So there's a circle with the squares around it on the outside. And I want you to think about like what you would do with the success that you have and what you would do with the income that you generate. Are you paying for school for children, for college? Are you buying a new house, a lakefront property? Are you, a new car? Are you putting it towards retirement? Are you, are you investing? Like think about the things that if you were living the biggest life you want, what are the things that you would spend that money on? And remember, this is a goal setting and kind of your big life dreaming. So what we're doing is we're saying, don't get into your limiting beliefs. Don't say, oh, I'll never make that amount of money. I could never donate, $120,000 to the local charity of my choice yearly, or, any of that. Don't let your limiting mindset get in the way. What would a big life look like to you if you could do these things? And what are the monetary amounts that you would need to do them? So write down some of the things that you would do with the income that you earn. Where would you spend it? How would you use it? Who would you help? We talk about experiences worth giving, legacies worth leaving. These are the areas where you have those opportunities to give those experiences and leave those legacies. So what are you doing with that? Where are you putting it? And, do you hire a personal trainer? Do you hire a personal chef? What are the key relationships in your life that you're going to do that with? How much money would you need to put back into your business? Do you hire, a personal assistant? What investments are you making? So I want you to put those in those squares on the outside, and then I want you to add all that money up that you put on those outside squares, and I want you to put that in the center circle. So add all the squares together and put the completed amount in the center circle. Is there anyone in the call that's willing to share what their center number is? You can type it in the chat or say it out loud.
I'm still calculating, and I'm going towards $1 million on my expenses.
Hey, great, great. I'll give you all
So
just a
I
minute.
put, instead of 200,000, I put 10 million.
10 million?
I rounded up. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Way to round up. All right. So, okay. So, in order to achieve 840, nice. That's a good one. So, in order to achieve success, you need motivation and inspiration for doing it. Your big why. Now, Michael talked about, me having a big why. And, not to get too far into it, I've got a pretty big family. We had the reason we're in Cleveland is, we had a health scare with our daughter and needed to be close to the Cleveland Clinic. We changed our whole life within a month. I had a successful business. My wife was working successfully, and within 1 month of finding out that our daughter was sick, we had our house sold and our house bought here in Cleveland within 1 month. It was a month and 10 days. So, life can change quick. And part of my big why has always been my family. And, when we talk about, our values, God, family, then business, that resonates with me in that, my family is the most important thing. I can rebuild a business. I can do all those things. And we talk about the balls that we have, and family is that crystal ball. Your business is, somewhat rubber, maybe, a little bit sturdier than that. But you can drop that ball occasionally and pick it back up. You can't drop the family ball. It'll shatter and you may never get it back together the way it was supposed to be. So big whys are important, because I knew coming up here, I still had to make money in order to support my 5 kids. So, that's the thing that keeps me going and keeps me driving is, one, I have the people who, rely on me that I support. And then number 2, I also have the people who look to me for guidance and leadership that I also support. So my job is to make sure that I am leading in a way that provides for them. And so that's why I keep pushing and keep pushing. And so think about what your big why is. What are you actually doing it for? Because here's the reality. None of us in this call work for money. We work for what money can provide for you and the people you love. It's not the money itself. It's what you get from it. So, are you getting vacations? Are you getting time? What are you getting from the money that you work for? And that's really where you come down to your big why. You keep asking yourself the question, what's important to me? So is anyone willing to share part of what their big why is? Why real estate? Why come to work every day?
It's actually easier, and if you get better at it each and every month, you're not tied to that hourly job that you have to show up for 40 hours. And I mean, it doesn't look like I'm working, but I'm working right now. Right.
Right. So Ed, can I ask you a couple follow-up questions on that?
Sure.
Okay. So even then, what makes you do the job when you don't want to do it? Say you don't feel like doing the job. What actually keeps you doing? What makes you go in and actually do the job?
Well, part of Keller Williams, they got me more of a starting point. I wrote it down. You can't see it, but just start the day, right?
Mhm.
What you choose to do with it, if you say something, I have to value that and say, do I go any further? So part of that is those tools that, yeah, they do help or they don't help, or brevity is great, but I just don't know how to use it. But at the end of the day, I think part of the reason is that you're not alone. It's like there's a lot of other people struggling with the same. It's like, I can't get them to call me back. And you look across, and family will do it to you too. It's like, what the hell? Why didn't you call me? You know, I'm a real estate agent, right? So sometimes family will disappoint you the most, but that same family will call you at 9 o'clock on a Sunday and find out, like, why are they calling me? I said, there's nothing wrong with the taxes. The IRS doesn't call. You're being hoaxed. Hang up and don't ever pick up the phone again. So, but they get that strength, you know. And I had someone tell me, I did what you told me to do. And I go, okay, put the fences up, shields up. And she says, no, I put a little bit extra, and it was 14 years ago, and my mortgage is almost paid off. So they will listen, you know, customers and family as well. But yeah, sometimes that's that little extra push. I think you have a bad day, but maybe, you know, you help somebody. You know, maybe they bought and sold a house and they netted $63,000. So yeah.
Yeah.
Does that help?
Helping people is a lot of real estate agents find that helping people is their big why. You know, I hear it a lot in recruiting, and that, you know, I want to help people. I want to help my community. I want to help people buy and sell homes. I know a couple agents who had a bad experience with an agent, and they wanted to provide better service than what they got. And so helping is a big why for a lot of people. And so the big why has to be something that keeps you doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. And that's really what it comes down to. You know, if you're not looking forward to doing the job or doing the activity, most people will find a reason or an excuse not to. It's the big why that'll keep you doing it. I used to always keep a picture of a vacation I wanted to go on, or a car I wanted to have, or something I would get from the activity that I was doing. So I knew that if I close this many deals, we get to go to Europe, my wife and I, or something like that. And I'll put that in front of on the wall right behind my computer. So every time I go and I don't want to pick up that phone, I can look up and see it and say, you know what, that's enough of a reason for me to pick that phone back up. So when we talk about sparking your career, think about what your big why is. Think about why you want to keep going even when it's hard. And remind yourself of it. Put it up on your, you know, write it on your mirror. Put it up, you know, use it as the screen on your phone. You know, whatever it is, you know, give yourself, I make my passwords part of my goal. So that way I have to type in my goal every day, you know? So that's the thing. Like, think about what it is you want to achieve and remind yourself of what that's going to do for you. And it has to be big enough, because if it's not, you won't care and you won't do it. So I know some of us are new on here. Some of us know where this goes, but let's talk about where your commission dollars go. So when we're talking about our big why and how we get our money, and we've got that 840,000 or that $10 million mark that we want to hit, that net income, you got to think about, like, gross commission gets split up quite a bit. And this is a great conversation you can have with sellers too, who want to tell you, you know, well, why should I pay you 6% or 7% or whatever percentage you're asking for? You can say, well, here's how it works. You know, half of that is going to go to that other.
Call should be done in a little bit. We'll let you know.
Ed, you're not muted, buddy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. So, you know, half of that or a portion of that is going to go to that other agent on the other side of the deal. And then another portion is going to go to the market center. And then a portion after that is going to go to your business expenses. You've got not only your cost of sales You've also got your business expenses, like your assistants, your runners, your photographers, all those things, and then you're going to take a portion out for taxes. And then what's left is your take home. So there are ways that you can explain this to the seller. Say, look, really when it comes down to it, I'm only making like 1.5%, 2% of the money that you're giving me. And so the rest of it is going to making sure that your property sells. So there are opportunities that you can use that in your presentations, but we also want to make sure that as agents, we're doing what we need to do to make sure you're netting the money you actually want to net. Because your gross commission income isn't your actual income. So let's look at that. We've got these portions that take up our money. So when you have this is an example of an income goal. When you set that net income goal, you then have to put how much, and company dollar here is 21,000. So at Keller Williams Greater Metropolitan, it's 18,000 for the Market Center, 3,000 for Keller Williams International. So company dollar and royalty cap is 21 here, not 30. Then you've got your business expenses. How much do you pay for your marketing, for your CRMs, for your monthly fee, all the things that you use for your business, how much are you paying annually? So those are your business expenses. And you can actually put in your cost of sales in there too. So anything that, well, some of that cost of sales is going to company dollar and royalty, but the rest of it, like cost of sales is money you only pay if you sell. And then you've got your total gross commission income after that. So average commission here, let's call it 7,000, 5 to 7, a $200,000 home, you're looking around 5 to 7. So average commission, and then your annual transaction goal. And this is how you get to your annual transaction goal. You take whatever you come up with, and let's go to this one. There we go. So you take whatever you come up with on your gross commission income and divide that with your average commission, and then that gives you how many deals you need to do in order to reach that, to reach your actual net income goal. So let's take a quick break for any ahas. Anything that you've gotten so far that sparked something in you that made you think, let me look at this further or learn more, or what did you hear?
I will say my aha is my goals, and I'm learning. What I'm hearing is clearly setting the goals, knowing where I'm at. That aha of that my multiplying of where my business, where I'm at in my business, and that is a big aha. Lets me know where I'm at and where how much more I need to put in, more work I need to put in to get to that 100% goal.
And here's the reality: 100% is pretty unattainable.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Well,
that's perfect. Yeah, no one's perfect.
Could you be happy at 90? Could you be happy at 85? And that's the reality of it is, we've all seen like those couples that were like, wow, like they're operating on like 9s and 10s on a daily basis, and like, how do I get there? And the reality is they're probably more of like an 8, maybe a 7. It's just that they put more energy into being at a 10. And it's the same for, if anybody's been a server in the room, I know I've worked in restaurants, no matter what's going on in my life, when I approach that table, I have to smile. I have to put on that face that says, nothing's wrong with my day and I'm here to help you. And it's the same with being a real estate agent, so we always had if you act enthusiastic, you will be enthusiastic. So, and it's, boy, am I enthusiastic. So that's the thing. If you act it, it's tricking, it's the habit that actually tricks the mindset. So act it out, and then it becomes a reality. So, that I agree with you. I've done that exercise. I continue to do that exercise. And I don't even think I'm at like a 6.
Well, I'll be happy if it's, as long as I see it moving up, I'm happy with that, as long as it, that number keeps going up. No matter where it lands, I'm happy. I'm happy because when you asked for what's your reason for being an agent, and the reason you do this every day, my reason for doing this every day is because I refuse to go back to a 9 to 5. I refuse to go back to working for someone else and helping them achieve their goals instead of mine.
So
That's
what would be a good reminder of that for those days when you're like really struggling with, I don't want to lead generate today. I don't want to do my 20%. What would be a good reminder of not wanting to go back to a 9 to 5?
I have a daily reminder of all my friends that call and complain about their jobs on a daily basis. So that's my jump to, oh, you know what? I'm good. So let's get up and go. Because I really do have them complaining to me every day about their jobs. They really hate their jobs. And I won't go back to that. I'm happy not having mine and, working for myself.
So that sounds like a great opportunity for profit share.
Actually, yeah.
If someone hates their job, then offer them something better.
Exactly.
So that's the reality of it. It could be as simple as like putting a little time card up next to your desk, or those calls are a reminder. But if those calls aren't there, then have something that lets you know, like, there's a reason I'm doing this, and it's my personal freedom, or my financial freedom. What is it that's really your why behind it? Because that's what's going to keep driving you. That's what's going to spark your career, because you won't do it because, we are least accountable to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm proof of that. Least accountable to ourselves. I had to hold myself at high accountability for a long time. And there's a saying, and it's, you don't have to be disciplined to be great in real estate. You just have to have a discipline. Just one. And if that discipline is lead generation.
Explain that one discipline.
So if you don't have to be disciplined across the board, you can be sloppy, you can be messy over here, you can be late to things or anything like that. It's just about having a discipline. So if it's hard to be disciplined in all aspects of your life. And if you choose one area and you say, I'm going to do this at a high level, I would hope that it would be in your 20%. I would hope that it would be your lead generation. Because if you can get disciplined about one thing, everything else in your business will fall in line.
Got you.
I get that.
Mm-hmm.
So, don't fall for the trap of, I have to have everything perfect. It's just about having the one thing right. And it doesn't have to be perfect. The other saying is, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing poorly.
I think this real estate world is so big, and I'll tell you where my overwhelming feelings have come from, seeing everyone else. And because there's a ton of real estate agents, we see everyone in their business, we see the highs, we see the lows, but mostly, of course, we see all the highs that everyone has. Like you said, that couple that's at their 10 because they put all this effort into being that 10. You see that, and then you also experience every aspect of real estate that there is and that comes at you. So it's a lot that comes at you, and so many directions that you can go with real estate. And when people say, hey, find that one thing that streamlines your business, how long that takes? Some time to find that, you know what I mean? Like what your thing is, what your niche is in real estate.
Yeah.
So that takes some time. And I think that's a struggle that I've had, is trying and then like, okay, that's not what I like, trying
Mhm.
another thing. You know what I mean? So that's a little time consuming and frustrating sometimes.
Well, Gary Keller says it best. He says, fail fast, fail forward.
Mhm.
Just keep, because if you're not failing, you're not growing. You're not trying new things. You're not expanding. You're not getting out of your comfort zone. And if you're comfortable, you're stagnating. It just means you're doing what you've always done and you'll get what you've always gotten. But if you want more, if you want to change that number in the me bubble,
Mhm.
draw a circle around yourself and change that me bubble and say, I'm going to keep failing and I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to keep growing. And that's how you get to where you want to go. Because, you fail a lot. I've failed a
Mhm.
lot. Gary's failed a lot. Everyone on this Zoom call has failed multiple times.
Yeah.
And the reason we're here is we want to grow. We want to keep going. So that's the beauty of it. And the Bull Law, don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. There was an agent who was on stage at Keller Williams and just got awarded for top sales and, came back to her seat and was crying. And when they asked her why, because she was in debt, because she had paid so much to market her business and she had paid for the leads and done all this stuff. And the money didn't actually make enough to get it. She made no money. She was broke, even though she was a top salesperson. So she was on stage and won the award and everyone was clapping and cheering for her because of her success. But in the reality, she was broke and she was about to be bankrupt.
Mm.
So we don't know what's happening inside their life. We only see the outsides. So don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. You may be more successful than that person by what you're doing. And again, just like I explained earlier, you can't compare your goals to other people's. My goal is very different from my friend's goal. He's very content living his life the way he wants. I don't want to be where he wants to be. I want to be where I want to be. And that's what you have to get to. You can't compare yourself, because just like in a race, you're never racing against the other person. You're never competing against the other person. You're competing against yourself. You're the one with the limiting beliefs. You're the one telling yourself the things in your head. You're always competing against you. Your job is to be better than you were yesterday, and then be better again. And that's it. Take one step forward. How do you climb a mountain? One step at a time. Take that one step. Be better. And so you're never competing against them. It's always because their goals aren't yours. Get to where you want to go. Find the path that gets you to where you want to go.
That was fantastic, Eddie. Thank you. I'm here for
Oh, well,
it.
there's still more. We're here till 11.
No, I'm here for it.
So daily success system. So here's the meat, the action plan. All right. So we've gone through a lot of the mindset. Now we get to the action plan. So daily success system. 10 conversations, 10 conversations a day. Now, in Bold, we make it 20, and that was always my goal, 20 a day, 100 a week. And right now, in a shifting market, it's harder to get those actual listings and things like that. So yeah, you might need to be at 20 in order to hit what you were doing at 10. So whatever that number is, know your conversion rate so you can know what your numbers are that you need to hit in order to get the sales you want. But 10 conversations a day. You have 10 real estate conversations a day where you ask someone for business, and that's going to get you started towards your path of success. So then 10 contacts added a day. And so you've had 10 conversations. Did you add the 10 contacts to your database? 10 contacts added. Because, okay, say you had 10 contacts a day for, we'll call it, how many working days in a week? Or 5 working days a week, and it's 3.5. So we'll call it 15 days a month. And so that's 150 and times 10. So that's 1,500. So 10 months, we're going to give you 2 months of vacation, right? So 2 months of vacation, weekends off, That's 1,500 people added to your database. And if you recall in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, how many people in your database do you need to be a millionaire real estate agent? Anybody know? 1,980. It's not many. That number has changed a little bit. MREA2 would say that it's a little higher than that. And at the same time, you know, if you had that many contacts in your database, let's run the numbers. You get a 16.4% return on your database. That's 10% referrals. 6.4% are actually going to do business that year. So, you know, what is that? Who's got a calculator? So let's see, you've got 1,500 people that you added times point. Wow, it's 246 transactions. All from 10 people being added to your database daily, 2 months off, weekends off. Would that be a problem for anyone to have that many deals?
Good question. This may be a silly question because I'm just getting into the book, but the millionaire agent, is that $1 million worth of sales or $1 million in take home?
That would be $1 million net, net income. Yeah. So that's still not counting your taxes. That's not counting operational expenses. That's just after cost of sales and paying out the market center, things like that. So that's $1 million net. So, you know, again, 10 contacts a day, and then 10 handwritten notes. How many of you still get mail where someone writes you a note, and when you see a handwritten letter versus a form letter, which one are you more likely to open? Right, the handwritten letter. Absolutely. And that's why we still do it, because it's become such a lost art that now when people see it, they're more curious than anything, like, oh, someone took the time to think of me. And that's why those marketing companies started doing fake handwriting on letters so that it's just printed on, because they know that people are more, if they think it's real, then they're going to open it. So 10 handwritten notes, and just be in gratitude. Use the notes as a way to say thank you for anything that you've had services done. Your vendors, your friends, your family, it could be birthday cards, it could be anything, but 10 handwritten notes. And it doesn't take long. You can spend 20 minutes doing 10 notes, and that's it. Time block for it. It can get done in 10 minutes. It can be short and sweet little notes. And then there's 10-5-1 social media engagement. Like 10 posts, comment on 5, and share 1. So, there's the social media engagement. And that can be done in 15 minutes as well. So start your day, figure out who you want to write a note to, or do the notes at the end of the day, however you want to do it. Your co-brokes are a great one. As an opportunity, say thank you for them, your clients. And then the social media engagement, spend 15 minutes on that, and then take the time later on today to respond when people respond to you. It's a great way to have a touch that allows you to keep in contact that isn't really invasive to your time. So just make sure you don't get caught in the doom scroll, sitting there and just scrolling, and then you wasted an hour just looking at things. So find 10 things to like, 5 things to comment on, and 1 to share. And as always, TCPA, Telephone Consumer Protection Act. Make sure that you are scrubbing any numbers you're calling for the do not call list, any numbers you're texting. Make sure you're being aware of that and following through with the law of TCPA. There are some really big fines, up to $1,500 per violation, and it can get even higher from there. So Just be aware of that and make sure. And here's the reality. When we talk about our contacts in our sphere, if you call people you know, you don't have to worry about TCPA. It's only when you're calling people you don't know. So that's why when we talk about how important Sphere is to your business right now, there you go. You know, it protects you from TCPA also, because you're calling people you know that you've met and they either know, like, and trust you. So when you are talking
Eddie,
to them.
can I ask you a question about that?
Yes.
I'm sorry. How, if we're calling people we don't know, is there a list somewhere? How do we know if that number is on that list or not?
So the government has a website you can scrub it against. You can also use different, systems. Cole has a scrubbing platform. Mojo will scrub for you. Mojo Dialer. Your Red X's. Your, what's the other one? There's Vulcan. There's also, I forget the last one. But there are a bunch of. Yeah, there are a bunch of programs out there that you can put the number in and say, is this on the do not call list? And the government will provide that too. If you go into their website and put in the number to see, is this on the do not call list? And it'll tell you.
Okay, thanks.
But if you're working with batches, I would use one of those other, websites. All right, so powerful conversations get results. So we know that our 20% is lead generation. So when you're lead generating, what are you actually doing? You're looking to uncover motivations, identify their objections, close deals, and speak in terms that the customer understands. Because as real estate agents, we get caught up in the MVVBP and the ROI and all the acronyms that we love to use and throw around that no one else understands. And so we need to make sure that we're speaking in a way that people understand, and then we build confidence in them and how they interact with us, because confidence, they have to be confident that you can get them to their goal, because everyone that you deal with listens to WIFM, What's in It for Me radio, and they want to make sure that you're getting them to your goal, because here's the reality. They're either going to choose you or choose someone else. But the reason they're making that choice is they're choosing to believe whoever's going to get them to the goal that they want. That's all they're doing. You have to be the vehicle to get them to where they want to go. And when you're not the vehicle, you don't get chosen. So think about when you go into a store and someone says, "Can I help you?" What's your response? I know I'm not the only one that says no. Come on.
I'm a shopper, so either yes, or you ask them for whatever it is that you're looking for so they can point you in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. So, and part of that is working with open-ended questions as opposed to closed-ended questions. What brought you into the store today? You can't answer that with no. So Luby's jumping in. So I'm just looking. So if I asked what brought you into the store today, and you said I'm just looking, that doesn't really answer that question. And say, well, it does actually. And you say I'm just looking. Oh, great. What are you looking for? And then it goes and says, what questions, what, who, when, where. Those are all things that you can't answer yes or no. So again, you want to ask open-ended questions, and you want to be of value, because if they believe that you're just there to buy, and here's the reality. Typically, the knee-jerk reaction is to say no. Even if you know you need help, you're going to say no. It's weird. It's our psychological programming that we go in and we're just no. And then they ask the right question. We say, oh yeah, I actually need to find this. And then we go with them. And so we know that, I think, 57% of real estate agents won't call the second time. They won't. So just calling a second time puts you above over half the industry. And then I think it goes down 75% of the agents won't call after a second time. So how many times, if I were to say, hey, if you ask me 6 times, I'm going to give you $5,000, how many times would you ask me?
Ask you I'm sorry, say that again.
If I told you, if you ask me 6 times, I'm going to give you $5,000, how many times would you ask?
I'm asking you 6 times.
6 times.
Okay. Exactly.
6, maybe even 7.
Exactly. That's the right answer. Maybe even 7. Because here's the reality. You know, it takes about 6 or 7 times for sale by owner or expired to actually say yes. And so most of the industry stops calling them after the second time. So you're all alone out there once you get the 3, 4. Now you're building relationship. So when we talk about, you know, going into calls, I always say we have 3 objectives, 3 things that we want to handle on a phone call. We want, 1, to build the relationship. So that should always be the number 1 value, is to build the relationship further, to deepen that relationship. Number 2 is to provide value. What are you offering them that's going to help them feel like you are a value to them? Selling yourself isn't a value to them. Telling them how great you are and what you've done for other people isn't a value to them. So think about what value you're bringing to them. And then the third is, what's your objective for the call? Why are you calling? Are you calling to get them to list with you, to buy, to give you a referral, to give you a recommendation online? Like, what's your objective for the call? So those are the things that you want to be looking at every time you reach out to someone. And those are the things that are going to build that value, build that relationship to where they trust you and they're confident that you are the vehicle that will get them to their goal. So we talked about sphere. So who wants to read the definition?
People you have met in one way, shape, or form.
Right. That's your sphere. So when we look at your sphere, so there's a timeline of how likely they are to move. And that's 7 to 10 years. We know people move every 7 to 10 years. So let me ask you, if you took all of your friends, you could put them in 3 categories. You could say they have a home that they just moved into, or they, or they have a home that they've been living in for a while, or they don't have a home and they're looking for a home. Everyone needs a home. So there are three categories you can put them in, and all 3 deal in your business. So hooray, your business encompasses everyone on the planet, because everyone wants to live in a place, whether they want to rent, whether they, it doesn't matter. We all want shelter. So when you talk about the moves, your job is to be in a relationship with them somewhere in that timeline, because as Gary Keller says, our job is to be in the relationship business until they need real estate help. Then we're in the real estate business. And 7 to 10 years is a long time. And that's the time. So if you've got a client that, you just sold and you're still in the business in 7 years, and you drive by and there's somebody else's sign, you had the best deal ever, you were great. You're like, they'll use me next time. I was incredible. I was the best agent. They told me I was the best agent. And then you drive by and there's another sign in the yard and you're like, what happened? You didn't call them. You didn't stay in contact. You didn't stay in relationship. And that's the reality of it. Like, if I called you only when I wanted money from you, Would you believe that I had your best interests at heart, that I cared about you? No. Exactly. And that's how they feel when you only call them when it's time for them to sell, or when it's time for you to make money from them doing something. But staying in relationship, building the relationship and providing value, that's where you build not only the relationship for their business, but also any referral business that they have. Because now they're your raving fans. Now they're going out and telling other people they should use you. Because you're not just, sucking money from them. So when you call your sphere, we use the Ford method: family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So those are your topics of conversation. So it's really easy whenever you call to just think Ford. You can ask about their family. Oh, hey, I saw on social media that little Jimmy's going to college. You could, their occupation. So how's work going? And what happens when you ask someone about their job? What inevitably happens?
They reciprocate.
Right. They ask you about yours. And that's a good entryway into talking about real estate. And then recreation. Any vacations planned? Did you guys go anywhere this summer? Right now is a great time for the recreation talk. It's summer in Ohio. It's like the 4 months where we actually get to do things. So, it's like, have those conversations and their dreams, because most people's dreams are somewhat tied to real estate. And we know that life events precipitate real estate events. So all of those things, like if they lost their job or they're being relocated, is that a real estate event? If they have family that they want to move closer to, is that a real estate event? If they want to buy that lake house down south, or the Florida home, or, buy land to go hunting on, real estate events. And their dreams are typically tied to what their overall goals are. And we know that 90% of American wealth is held in real estate. So what are their dreams? And how can you help them reach their dreams? Because Zig Ziglar always says, you want to make more money, help more people. So if you help them reach their dreams, you've earned a lifelong client. Any ahas? I'm either that good or I'm that bad.
Sometimes I'm afraid of calling my sphere because I don't want to bother them or annoy them. But looking at it from this perspective of just maintaining relationship and being in relationship with them, I just need to call and talk to them about life and just spend a few minutes showing them that I care about them. And whether we even come up to real estate or not, they will know when I post things on Facebook or whatever. They'll know because they'll say, hey, I just talked to her and we talked about this. Oh, look, she's still doing real estate, or she just sold a house, and it'll keep me top of mind. And that makes it seem less scary that way, to just think of it as I'm just maintaining relationships and building relationships with people.
Absolutely,
not
Serena,
asking
that's
for their
perfect.
money.
Yep, that's perfect. And that's exactly it. And it's the story we tell ourselves, and you're building that relationship, because that's the business we're actually in. It's how many relationships can we build? Because, yes, some people will use you, some people won't. And at the same time, you're putting yourself out there in a way that says, I actually care about you. I don't just care about your money, I care about you. And that's where that value comes in too. So remember, not only the relationship, be of value. And part of being of value as a real estate agent is, like Gary says, be the local economist of choice. Know what's happening in the market, because most people don't know. And especially with what they hear on their news, they're getting, scary, scare. It's real estate's crumbling. It's all over. The world's collapsing. And you have to be that voice of reason that says, actually, here's what's happening in our world that I'm seeing on the ground level. and because they're looking at it from the outside in, and our job is to provide them the actual vision of what is happening, and to let them know that real estate is a local thing. If California, the prices drop 30% in California, that's actually not going to impact us as much here, because our values are very different than theirs. Yeah, they're way overinflated. They should come down. And at the same time, we're still below the national average. So we're not going to see as much of a dip as they would being overinflated. So we're a different market. So just remember that part of your value proposition is your knowledge. So it's not just the relationship, it's also the knowledge, because as more and more people see you as a real estate agent, more and more people will seek your expertise. So that was great, Serena. Yes. Any other ahas?
I like something that you said at the beginning, which was break through the uncomfortable. I wrote that down.
Mm-hmm. And what speaks to you about that?
I always have trouble calling people that I don't know, and I'm trying to get over that hump.
So we used to, when I first started, we had a quote up on the wall. It's not about you. How could it be? And the reason we had that there is when you call people you don't know, occasionally, it's happened to me many times, you get cussed out. Or they're having a bad day, or whatever happens, they're angry at you for whatever reason. But the reality is, it's not about you. They don't know you. How could it be about you? You're just a person making a phone call. Their anger, their animosity, whatever it is, it's about them. And so when you get into that, like, you can take that at so many levels to say, then you can come from curiosity, because I've broken through several of those that were angry when I first started talking to them. And I asked the right questions, because objections are questions that haven't been answered yet. That's all it is. When we talk about objection handling, all you're really doing is answering a question that either hasn't been asked or they haven't gotten an answer to that they need in order to move forward with you. So be curious, ask questions, because the person who asks the questions controls the conversation. The person who talks the most is actually the loser in the conversation. So yes, be uncomfortable, break through, because that's what's going to get you to your success, is being uncomfortable. Once you're comfortable for too long, it actually becomes uncomfortable, because you stayed in the same place. You didn't grow. You didn't go anywhere. And that goes back to do what you've always done, and you'll get what you've always gotten. And I don't think that's why you joined real estate, to get what you've always got. That was great. Thank you, Cassandra. Any other ahas?
I think from this, I think I'm growing just at my pace, like you said, not at anyone else's pace. It's maybe slow, but it's moving.
Yeah, and that's the key. All growth is at your pace. It doesn't have to be at anyone else's pace. It's, you're not in a race against them. You're only in a race against you.
And the failures, what you said about pointing out Gary Keller's statements about failure and growth, that actually made me feel a little better about the failures than to know, that made me feel better than I was feeling about them, because to know that failure is growth, it's helpful.
Yeah. And there's another acronym that I use when I talk about failure, and it's first attempt in learning. That's what fail means to me. It's my first attempt in learning something, because I'm going to fail, and that's how it is. Like, if I decided that I wanted to be a painter, my first 100 or 1,000 pieces are going to be crap. My first couple are going to be really bad. And it's just learn from, oh, if I do this instead of that, it'll be better. If I do, keep learning. Because think about when people have contests, athletes, let's call it running. The person who wins the race doesn't actually reflect on the race very much. Second place, third place, the losers reflect on it a lot. They think, oh, I could have got off the block a little faster. I could have, maybe if I strode out a little bit more, any of those things, they're going to think about the process and learn from it more than the winner would. Winning actually doesn't help you as much as losing. So keep failing, keep pushing for the things that are outside of your comfort zone and keep growing with them. Because once you find it, Gary Keller failed. I mean, he had a failing market center. He had, all his top earners left him, and he built on that. And then he looked and said, why did that happen? And then, he created profit share and all the things that led to what Keller Williams is today came through failure. And it's the same with anyone. It comes through that failure. It comes through learning, through, the first attempt in learning. All right, we got 5 more minutes. Any other ahas?
I had another big aha that I had was when you talked about how you hung a picture up or something up of your big why. What was one of your big whys? And then focusing on that. So you focus on the purpose or on the plan rather than on the problem. And that makes me think of the whole knowledge is power, action or potential power, action is power. And Tony Robbins also says that your outcome and take massive action. And it leads right into what you were just saying, course correction. You fail, look at it, acknowledge it, and figure out how to course correct.
Yeah.
And so that was huge for me today too. Thank you.
You're welcome. And when we talk about course correction, keep track of where you are. Remember, drop that pin every now and again. Do that exercise where you say, I'm at this level in my business, this level in my life. Do that exercise and look at and say, okay, well, how do I get to that next number? It's not how do I get to 10? It's if I'm at 67, how do I get to 68? How do I get to 69? And that's where you focus. Focus on those small incremental steps, because those are the things that'll get you there. It's that Gary Keller says people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 5.
That's awesome.
And that's because when you look at those big gaps, it's like, I can't jump that gap. But if you take a step at a time or build a ladder or anything one step at a time, you'll eventually cross that gap. And that's the thing. It's taking those little steps that really get you to where you want to go. It's not the big leaps. They're great when you can do them. And at the same time, it's putting one foot in front of the other. Great aha. Anyone else?
I like what you said about writing down the numbers. They give us like a reality as to where we are right now, where we need to be getting in the future. That was very eye-opening right there.
Yeah, and the numbers don't lie. So, when you do those number exercises and say, okay, here's where I need, because the beauty of that exercise is once you work down into how many transactions you need, like I figured out really early, I can make 6 figures just by doing 2 appointments a week. I can make the money I wanted well into the 6 figures doing 2 appointments a week. That's doable for me. 2, I can hit 2, whether I have to beg, borrow, or steal to get there, I can do that. And that's, it's the difference between being committed to a goal and being interested in a goal. So once you figure out the numbers, it's like, how do you just work it down to the smallest thing and say, in order to do that, I have to have 10 conversations today. Okay. that, you know, that's my job, 10 conversations a day? Sure. Instead of going to a 9 to 5, instead of working for someone else, all I have to do is talk to 10 people. I'm in. I can do that. So yeah, absolutely. The numbers are important, and that's how you get there. Well, we're at 10:59. I want to thank everyone for your participation and being here. So thank you so much. And again, if you have any questions, anything like that, feel free to reach out to me. I'm here at the Market Center on the east side and the west side. So you've got my contact info. I'm Eddie Donley, team leader. So thank you, thank you, thank you.